What's good, YouTube? Today we are talking about risk management. Now, y'all, risk management, it is the number one thing, probably the most important video I'll ever post on my channel is about risk management. And the reason is because risk management is the one thing that will take you from a break-even trader to a profitable trader. And I can speak that from my own experience. I have been break-even for years, and it wasn't until I finally understood like risk management in 2025 where it took me to a whole different level. Finally became profitable, right? To a point where like losses, they don't affect me. They don't affect me because my winners are so much bigger than my losers, right? And this is not my framework, right? I adapted this from Trades by Side. So again, I already traded kind of similar with him. Well, like I've always been a market structure trader, right? But I didn't understand like how to get those high RRs until I started like watching him more. And after following his framework of like what percent to risk, right, and what targets to aim for, that has helped me tremendously in 2025, right? Took me from being break even to profitable. So shout out to Sai. Again, this is not my framework, but I'm going to show you like how I used it, and I'm going to show you how the method works. Like, it works, y'all. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and go into my office. We're gonna break it down, and yeah, hopefully this will help y'all and help y'all get out that break-even stage and become profitable as well. So let's get it. What is good, YouTube? So I am about to break down my risk management plan. Again, I adopted this plan by side. Thank you. I'm just sharing what I learned and how I apply it for me to grow my small account. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So boom, how to grow a small account fast if you do not want to go the prop firm route. Now, y'all know I used to try to do prop firms, and I hated the fact that I had to make like 12 to 15% before I could withdraw anything, and I just did not like the strict rules. I feel like they were against me, so I was like, forget that. I want to trade personal. I want to scale my account, you know, my own way, in a quick way. And this is how I have been able to do it so far. What is my risk percentage? I do risk 10% per trade. Now, I know this is a very high risk amount. I just have a high risk appetite, right? I didn't always have that, but I gained it. Now, some people might say 10% is a lot, but if you really think about it, right? If you have a small account and you need to grow it fast, you can't risk the small 1%, 2%. Like if you had a really big 100K account, that's different, right? 1% of 100K is $1,000. Like that's a lot of money, right? But when you have these smaller accounts, you can't really make much or grow much from that. So as a smaller account, as a smaller trader, you do have to start off with a higher risk if you want to scale fast this way. So yes, I risk 10% per trade, right? If 10% is still too much for you, then consider dropping down to maybe 8% or 5% at the minimum. But 10% is what I use for my framework, okay? So I risk 10% per trade. So for example, and I'm gonna zoom in real quick so y'all can really focus. For example, if I had a $200 account, that means each trade I'm risking $20, right? If I had a $500 account, then each trade I'll be risking $50. And if I had a $1,000 account, that means I am risking $100 per trade. Since my risk is 10%, right? That means it will take 10 losses in a row to blow my account, right? So if I'm consistently risking the same amount, right? I'm not up again, I'm not lowering it, I'm keeping that same risk amount, right? It will take 10 losses in a row to blow that account. So losing 10 trades in a row rarely happens. Like that's almost impossible unless your strategy is just broken, right? At that point, it's a skills issue, I'm not gonna lie. Like you need to go back and study and do something, because you should not be losing 10 trades in a row. And it's okay if you are. Look, like people start from somewhere, it's fine. But if you have a good strategy, you should not be losing 10 trades in a row. That's just that, right? So that is my risk percentage. So what is my edge to make sure that I am winning my trades, right? Well, you already know my strategy, but I'll kind of go over it. I am a swing trader, right? So that means I use the high time frames, right? So I use high time frame analysis to give me an upper hand when in the market. So for example, I analyze the overall trend on the weekly, daily, and 4-hour time frame. So I would look at the weekly, daily, and 4-hour, and I would see how they will correlate with each other, and that's how I'm able to like plan out my bigger swing moves for the week, right? Bigger trends equal like really strong moves, right? when you have a higher time frame, you have a lot of momentum going on your side. You're gonna have less noise. So when you're on those smaller, like 15-minute, 5-minute time frames, it might look like you're in an uptrend, but really you're in a downtrend. It might be confusing. But when you're in those bigger time frames, all that noise is gone. You can see clear price action and where price is going. And then way fewer fake outs. So you're less likely, again, to get faked out if you know where the overall swing high and the overall swing low is, right? Because I trade these higher time frames, I do not trade often, right? I sit on my hands and I like to wait for quality setups. And just an example of like my high time frame analysis, if I was to jump to, I'm just gonna jump to Bitcoin real quick. So if you look at this corner right here, you can see I do analyze on the higher time frame. So I go to my weekly, my daily, and my 4-hour, and I mark up where the trend is currently going, right? So if you look here, I am currently on the daily. We have our swing high here, swing low here. The daily, we are bearish, right? Now the weekly, we are also extremely bearish, right? So when I have 2 consecutive time frames side by side, that is the direction I'm looking to trade long term. Now, this 4-hour, currently, we have been making higher highs, right? We've been breaking highs, breaking higher highs, right? I know that, however, this 4-hour trend is temporary because long term, we are looking to go bearish. So keeping that in mind, I'm able to use the daily and weekly time frame to kind of figure out when this 4-hour reversal is like done and when it's gonna continue back in the right direction, right? So that is how I'm able to use the higher time frames to kind of make sure I am trading in the right direction long term. That brings me to my next thing, risk to reward ratio. So what is my preferred risk to reward ratio? Well, I aim for at least a 1-to-4 RR or higher, right? So 1-to-4 RR means whatever I'm risking, my reward is 4 times that risk. So for example, if I am risking $20 on a trade, that means my minimum target needs to be at least $80, at least $80 minimum, right? If I'm risking $50 per trade, right, that means my minimum target is at least $200 minimum, right? And I'm kind of aligning it with these examples, right? So if I was doing $20 per trade, that is the $200 account. The $50 per trade is the $500 account, just keeping y'all on track, right? So if I was to risk $100 per trade because I had a $1,000 account, that means my target is to make at least $400 minimum, right? 1-to-4 RR. So scaling in on a lower time frame from entries will help you catch a 1-to-4, 1-to-5s, 1-to-7s. I have proof of this on my channel. Go back, look at my videos. Go look at my videos. Look at how I scale in. Look at where I target high time frame targets, right? 4-hour. I'm talking about daily, 4-hour, weekly targets, right? And you can see how I'm able to catch these high 1-to-4, 1-to-5, 1-to-RR setups. So go back and look, and I'll show you like you can consistently catch it with this framework consistently. So let's focus on the 1-to-4 for right now, though. We're gonna focus on the 1-to-4. So 1 win can cancel out 3 or 4 losses with a 1-to-4, right? So if you risk, let's say you risk $50 per trade, right? And you lost 3 trades in a row, right? You just having a bad week, you lost 3 trades in a row. You lost $150, right? $150. Let's say, okay, you kind of set up a good 1-to-4 RR, just one trade, right? You gained $200. If you look at your net result, right, you still gained a profit of $50. So even with a 25% run rate, y'all, you are still profitable. So what's really important here is like, you can make mistakes. This framework allows you to make mistakes without significant like consequences, right? So this is a perfect framework for beginners, right? Because beginners, if you don't really understand the market, you struggle to, you know, have high win rates. But with this, you don't need a high win rate. You could have a very low win rate and still be profitable in the market. So if I go ahead and switch to this right here, you can see with a 1-to-4, even with a 30% win rate, you're in profit. Once you get to that 20%, that's when you finally hit break even, right? But as you continue to grow, right, your win rate can be less and less, and you will still be in profit, right? So that's why we try to stay away from the 1-to-1s, the 1-to-2s. Even the 1-to-3 is like okay. 1-to-4 is really the sweet spot. Okay, so I want to show y'all like an example of like how I can get a high RR by scaling on the 15-minute. I already have some examples on my page, but I can show y'all real quick. Ignore these alerts. I have alerts going for a particular trade. But you see UJ on the daily, right? Obviously, we're bullish on the daily, right? Weekly, bullish, right? 4-hour, we were bearish, right? An example of like targeting a higher R, waiting for that shift of structure on the 4-hour, which I'm actually waiting for right now. This is not me sitting on the trade idea, okay? This is not that, okay? This is not that, right? But once I get that 4-hour shift on the 4-hour, which we're kind of already getting now, that's when I would go to scaling on 15-minute. And I will wait for my entry and put my drawings back on, right? So I will wait on my particular entry, basically waiting on the 15-minute to shift out of this bearish state back into bullish and break structure, right? Stop loss will be below this 15-minute low. And as of targets, I'm targeting the next daily level, right? So of course you can target liquidity, but if you know like overall on the daily price is going to be bullish, then I can actually target this daily level right here, right? This daily liquidity. So targeting the daily liquidity, that will give me a 1-to-9 RR, right? Now it may adjust when I actually get to my entry, but I'm just giving you an example of like how this works, right? And then if I target the 27 extension, which y'all know I do if y'all watch my videos, that is a 1-to-13 RR, right? So you can easily catch super high risk to reward ratio trends when you use the higher time frames. If you know where it's going long term, you get the confirmation shift on the 4-hour and you can scale it on 15-minute, you can easily catch them easily. So that was just an example. Again, this was not a trade signal. I'm still waiting for many confirmations before getting this trade. Do not just hop in this trade because I just don't do that. Okay, all right, moving on. How to scale a small account. So you want to continue increasing your risk as your account size increases. So what does that mean, right? Let's say you have a $200 account. That means you're risking $20 per trade, right? So if you were to win 2 1-to-RR trades back to back, that is $80 plus $80, right? So you made $160. Your account is now sitting at $360. That means on your next trade, since you are now in the 300 range, you can now risk $300 per trade, right? So that means your next 1-to-RR target will now be $120 per trade. So let's say you actually lose 2 trades in a row, right? You lose 2 trades in a row, so that's $60. So you're now sitting at $300, right? But then you catch one setup, not no crazy 1-to-5, 1-to-7, 1-to-6 R, just a 1-to-4 RR. You catch one setup, right? You just gain back $120. Your account is now sitting at $420. So despite losing twice in a row, right, you are still able to significantly grow your account with just 1 trade and with the minimum amount with that, right? So now you can risk $40 per trade because your account now sits in the 400 range and the cycle just repeats itself. Something I also do in my trading plan, I make sure that I am always paying myself, right? If you make a profit at the end of the week, you need to pay yourself something. So this creates positive reinforcement and helps you keep making these like good habits of like getting into the market, following your rules, right? And you just want to get in the habit of like paying yourself and get in the habit of making money from the market because you don't want this to feel like a hobby, right? You want this to feel like an actual source of income. So no, every week, if you're making a profit, you need to be paying yourself something. No matter how small, you need to put some kind of money in your pocket. Whether it's just $50, you can use $50 to get some gas. You can use $50 to get some groceries. $50 can do a good amount, right? The fact that you were able to actually pull money from the market and apply it and use it in your life, it really does something. It makes it real. It makes it realistic to you, right? I say withdraw 25% of your profits, right? And then reinvest 75% of your profits back into your trading account, right? So let's, for example, if you made $1,000 on a trade, that means you will withdraw $250 and you would reinvest $750 back into the account to keep growing it, right? Now, if 25% is less than your broker's minimum, so let's say you have a really, really small account and your minimum withdrawal amount is like $50, but your 25% of your profit is less than $50, then just withdraw that minimum and reinvest the rest and keep doing that until you can get to that point, right? Once you're satisfied with your account, go ahead and flip that, right? So now once you're satisfied with the account size and your profit per trade, you can start withdrawing 75% of your profits and reinvesting just 25%. Or if you want to keep it like at an even split, you could do 50% withdrawal and reinvest 50%, whatever works for you. At this point, when you're satisfied with your account, you can start lowering your risk percentage, right? Instead of doing 10%, you can probably lower it to like 8%, maybe 5% a trade instead. And this helps your trading plan become more sustainable over time. The mistake that most traders make, they only aim for 1 to 2% RRs. This is good, this is safe, right? But it keeps them very, very small. With my risk management plan, I take a higher risk and get an even higher risk to reward. Good risk management will make you an even confident trader. This is because you can handle 2 to 3 losses without panicking, right? It helps you trust your system and just stay disciplined throughout. Losses will not break you because your wins will make up your losses, right? And again, like I can show y'all, like on my channel, like it's possible to make a high risk to reward. So as you can see, like right here, like 1 to 7R, I think this trade, I don't think I put it right here. Another like 1 to 7 RR on this one. This one was a 1 to 5 RR, right? I don't post all my trades, but the ones I do, you could tell that I only take at least 1, 2, 4 RRs, right? Like if I have a trade set up and it's not at least a 1, 2, 4 RR, I'm not taking that trade. Like I'm not taking it, right? That's why I don't really counter trend trade much, because if I don't get at least a 1 to 4 based off my previously established targets, I don't want it. I don't want to take that trade. Like, no, that's not a quality setup to me. A quality setup is at least a 1, 2, 4. So being very picky and just sitting on your hands will help you get to this point. Okay, my camera overheated while I was speaking. But I just want to say that is my risk management plan. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I think I just want to show a very realistic way of how to scale a small account, because I know everybody does not want to go the prop firm route. Like sometimes you want to make your profit and you just want to take your money and enjoy it. You don't want to wait to make 12 to 15%. So this is my way of showing how to grow an account fast. I'm currently doing this is what's currently working for me, and I just highly recommend like you look into it, right? If you don't want to start right away with money, start with demo. Like make sure you're confident in your strategy first, okay? Don't just jump in without any like good, like you gotta know what you're doing. Like make sure you know what you're doing, okay? But yeah, that's it, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. And yeah, until next time, y'all, bye.